March 31, 1894, the Daily Argus News, Crawfordsville, Indiana. Breath of death poisons the air of the Andes Mountains. It is like a deadly mountain fog. No one knows how it kills its victims. A curious story has come down from the Cordilleran steeps of Los Andes. 4 scouts from a detachment of government troops met 3 scouts belonging to a party of revolutionists in the center of a paramo in the mountains, some distance from Caracas. Without stopping to think of the consequences, one of the soldiers raised his gun and fired upon the revolutionists. Instantly, the paramo dissolved and the 7 men fell dead. This is supposition only, since no man lived to tell how it happened. All that is known is that the men were found dead in the paramo, without so much as a scratch upon them, but the rifle of one of the soldiers contained an empty cartridge. Beyond all doubt, the men had been killed by this strange terror of the mountains. Thereby hangs a remarkable story of this most remarkable country. What is a paramo? Frankly, I do not know. There are many, many strange things in this tropical region that I do not pretend to explain. From all that I can learn, a paramo seems to be the visible breath of death. It is a sort of heavy mist or fog. It lurks on remote mountain heights like a monster lying in wait for human prey. It covers its place of execution with a white shroud, and it hides from the eyes of the world its deed of wanton murder. The paramo is deadly only when disturbed. Fire a gun, blow a horn, or even shout aloud, and the vengeful agent will instantly take your life and leave you there to let your friends wonder how you died. The only safety is silence. Even then, a word spoken above a whisper or the rattling of a loose rock may arouse the murderous wrath of the monster of the Andes. Perpetual, brooding silence, a silence unbroken by song of bird or chirp of insect, is the awful law of the paramo. The penalty of disobedience is instant death. A mysterious, awesome thing is this. What is its origin? How does it act? No man knows. Any man may conjecture quite as well as the learned persons known as scientists and come as near the true solution. The theory is that the paramo is heavily charged with some sort of gas or vapor so unstable in its chemical structure that it breaks at concussion into other gases, one at least of them being so terribly potent as to instantly freeze the heart's blood of the victim within its grasp. Paramos are of different sizes, from the small one that may be passed in 10 minutes cautious walking, to the frightful monster that keeps the apprehensive traveler walking for the best part of 2 days. There is one paramo in the region of Merida in the state of Los Andes that is so large that the traveler is compelled to camp in it one night. At that camp, no fire may be lighted and no word spoken aloud. A gruesome camp this. Usually, the paramos are not so large but that the traveler may avoid them by making a detour of a few miles. The monster near Merida, however, is large for that manner of escape. If the traveler goes through that part of the country, he must face the deadly peril. There are many stories of the sudden wrath of the paramo. Some of the most interesting go back to the time of the Spanish occupation. 2 will serve my present purpose. During the preparatory outbreaks of the War for South American independence, which began in Caracas, a detachment of Spanish troops in command of a proud and hot-headed Castilian officer had occasion to pass through a paramo on the upper heights of the Cordilleras near Merida in what is now the Venezuelan state of Los Andes. Natives warned the Spanish officer not to go through the paramo, but the proud commander scoffed at the warning and made ready to march. Again, the natives warned him to avoid, above all things, the firing of guns, the blowing of horns, or any noise. The officer laughed in his pride, mounted his horse, and marched gaily away, with drums tapping, and banners flaunting in the tropical sun. In the very center of the Paramo, the disdainful Castilian ordered his military band to play and his soldiers to fire their guns. He probably meant to teach those ignorant, superstitious natives a lesson. The music swelled and re-echoed from the mountainsides, and the guns roared out an angry challenge. Then the Paramo awoke. It trembled a moment as though in rage, and then smote the cavalcade dead in an instant. Natives on a neighboring mountain ridge heard the tumult burst forth, and when it ceased a moment afterward, they went down to the Paramo and walked along the trail. It was a strange, ghastly sight that they came upon. Rider, horse, soldiers, musicians lay dead in the dust. Since that fateful day, this Paramo has been called the Paramo de Battalion, in honor of the brave battalion that met death there. On another occasion during the same period of time, a body of Spanish troops marched to attack a small garrison of natives in the mountains. On the way was a Paramo, which the Spaniards knew nothing about. While they were approaching it, a native fastened an old bell-mouthed musket to a tree near the trail and attached to the trigger a long string, which he carefully carried down the mountainside to a point below the danger line of the Paramo. When the Spaniards reached the center of the Paramo, the native pulled the string and thereby fired the gun. The Paramo dissolved, and the Spaniards dropped dead in the trail. December 7, 1930, St. Petersburg Times, St. Petersburg, Florida. A new, strange death. Strange news that will alarm the most cold-blooded comes from Europe. A mysterious fog enveloped Belgium. Human beings inhaling it died like flies sprayed with deadly gas. Scores are dead, many hundreds hurried to hospitals. Nobody knows what deadly power in the fog causes the deaths. Some suggest a forgotten hiding place of poison gas established by Germans in Belgium, now broken open. That is improbable. Others, hysterical, suggest that Russia has invented a way of scattering gas fog to get revenge on capitalist countries that conspired against it. The appalling fact is that death appeared to travel with the fog that has been, of late, so dense that it held back ocean steamers and made it impossible for airplanes to travel. Most appalling to those that know the history of the Black Death in Europe in the 13th century is the statement by Professor J.B.S. Haldane, the eminent British scientist and biologist, that the mysterious deadly disease is something like the Black Death. That Black Death plague, when it struck Europe, killed 25% of all the people. If such a plague visited the city of New York, it could kill nearly 2 million human beings in a few weeks. Our government will want all possible information about this new plague. Our depression and other minor evils would be forgotten. If that plague born on the fog should come here, how the prosperous would rush to secure dwellings on mountains where fog is unknown